Hi, friends. Host Derek here. Doesn't have his hat with him at the moment. Sergeant Host Derek of the Type Police here. And we've got a compliance visit today. A concerned citizen called the police on himself and said he wants to make sure he's in compliance. He thinks he's an ISTJ. We respect that down at the station. So let's check it out and see what he has to say. Claims to be an ISTJ. Not a particularly common claim for people to make on YouTube. People don't normally go, "I'm an ISTJ." So let's take a watch at it.
So I think I'm an ISTJ. I'm not 100% sure, but the personality type, the characteristics that are described with this type seem similar to myself. Introverted sensing, I can kind of relate to how that's described, like sort of this constant awareness of one's body. They usually say that a lot of like NTPs and NFPs, people with introverted sensing lower down in the stack, they'll they won't pay attention to their bodies, they'll skip meals, they'll skip sleep. I'm not like that at all.
Okay, my initial thoughts about
If I'm hungry or if I need sleep, I'm 100% aware of that. So that leads me to think that I probably have introverted sensing somewhere.
Alright, so just right off the bat, I want to say that he reminds me of my ex-neighbor Chris, a large amount, who was in fact an ISTJ. And Chris is a postmaster for the U.S. Postal Service. This guy's a little rounder than Chris. Chris was this guy with somewhat worse FE, and it's interesting to hear him discuss it because he covers why he thinks he's an ISTJ, and I've watched the whole thing already, sort of haphazardly, but let's continue.
Higher in the stack, that makes sense. Also, my confidence is always built off of experience. If I've experienced something, and I've had good experiences, I'm usually confident in how I'm going to perform at that. If I don't have good experiences, probably not so much. I'll probably get some anxiety. That seems consistent with introverted sensing as well. Not the best at improvising either, so...
That's definitely consistent with introverted sensing. I think it's probably true for everybody who uses introverted sensing in the conscious stack at all, that they're going to feel more confident with more experience as a general rule. But one of the main differences there is that the ISTJ is going to seek those sorts of endeavors that reward experience, whereas the ENTP is going to deviate from them because the ENTP prioritizes novelty too much. So, so far I'm not seeing anything that's disagreeing with what you're saying.
That would indicate inferior NE. Now, the parts of the ISTJ personality that don't really make sense, where I'm kind of going I don't really know if I am one, is there's this idea that they have polar FE. Now, I'm not saying I have good FE, because I'm going to watch back this video and I'm going to go, okay, not the best FE, but polar FE seems extreme. That sort of indicates that you have just zero capability of managing the perceptions of others. Now, again, not saying I'm good at that, but polar FE seems extreme. But everything else about the ISTJ seems...
Alright, so let me address that a little bit. The thing about polar is, my friend Cameron has pretty good FE. It's it's very and it's rather active. Like, um, he's aware that social stuff is something that he has to attend to, and makes efforts to do so. So he's a really good friend. Like, very, he accomplishes good FE outcomes for sure. He's careful not to impose, and like always provides his own shit. So if he comes over and like we invite him over for dinner or whatever, he'll bring his own ingredients. So it's like that's pretty good FE and kind of weird too. So it's like having polar whatever doesn't mean you're completely blind to it. It means that you do it in funny, awkward ways that aren't necessarily bad, but reveal how little you understand about it. Which is the same thing with me and FI. So, it's not that I don't feel. I feel strongly all the time. It's just that somebody who understands feelings well, watching me do it, shakes their head and rolls their eyes a little bit. Because, I just, like polar FE is, it's kind of a imitation of it almost, and polar FI is, it's not the absence of feeling, it's the complete like ham-fistedness of dealing with it. So, for example, Delilah and I both, who are both ENTPs, although I've had lots of people try to type police Delilah's ENTP hood, but they're wrong. She's an ENTP, sure as day. Uh, and she and I both burst into tears a lot. Things we'll see something that'll make us just cry. I'm very weepy at times, and it's not because I. It's not, and that's indicative of polar FI, because polar FI is not the absence of FI. It's having so little understanding of it that it surprises you all of a sudden you burst into tears and shit, you know. So yeah, I just wanted to make that distinction. Let's continue.
Seems to kind of like make sense. Like I'm probably an ISTJ. It's just that one piece, polar FE. I'm like, I don't really think I have polar FE, but it could just be a case that I lack the self-awareness to see that. Maybe I do have polar FE. Who knows? But I'll leave that to the commenters to sort of fill me in. Maybe I'm just not seeing. Now as for TE, I've heard that people with TE in like the second slot they're sort of they're focused on like efficiency and effectiveness. I can kind of see that myself, but at the same time I feel like I'm almost too lazy to be a TE user on some level. But then again, I don't think I possess the rigorous like logic that I see in like TI DOMs like INTPs and ISTPs. Like I don't think I'm quite there either. Now,
All right. So regarding the TE thing here, the question really is regarding the laziness. The question is, how structured is your day? Like, ISTJs understand that there's a finite amount of energy for them to dispense into the world, and they dispense it carefully and with an attention towards the day as a whole. Like, well, I've got a couple of hours in me to work on this, and then I'm going to take a nap, and then it's like that's if you consider that lazy, then I guess ISTJs are lazy, but it's not really lazy. It's just paced. They're the quintessential turtle beating the hare. Hi, Gritowl. Is this you?
Oh, hey, what's up?
This is
Yeah, it would be an ISTJ, yeah.
this is you that we're watching.
No clue. I'm a bit behind on the video compared to you, but I have been giving it a look.
Okay, but you're not this guy, right?
I'm not sure.
I'm saying, are you this guy? Oh, you don't know which
Uh,
video I'm watching?
You're watching the. No, I know which one you're watching.
Are you that
It's
guy? Is that you?
that guy. I'd probably like to see more of the video first.
No, but I'm saying you're not that person. You're not Curtis.
I need to go through the TE part. Hold on.
No, I'm asking you if you actually are that guy. If I were to look at
No.
your face, would it be that guy's face?
No, of course not.
Okay, well, I wasn't sure because, you're an ISTJ around here, and he left in a comment that he wanted me to see if he was an ISTJ, and there aren't that many ISTJs around, so I thought maybe you were him. Now, your voice didn't sound like his, but I just wanted to make sure I
Well,
wasn't, going to suddenly realize that you were in here and I was doing your video at the same time.
oh, I didn't know that was a legit question.
It really was. I was really asking you that. All right, I'm going to continue watching this guy. Hold on, here we go.
Now, I definitely don't think I'm an intuitive because, I don't think an intuitive would be as conscious of their body signals as I am. I'm kind of into exercise and diet. As far as I understand, like, that is not at all on the radar of like an NFP or an NTP. So I feel like I've ruled those types out. Now, one could say that maybe you're an extroverted sensor. Now, I grew up with what I would consider like ESTPs and ESFPs. I don't think I'm that either because they always seemed really like impulsive and wild, and I always felt like when I was with them, I was like the voice of reason. Like I was like, you guys are fucking nuts. You guys are gonna get yourself killed. I didn't feel like I was anything like those guys. But I maybe I am. Maybe I just don't see it. But yeah. I mean, so introverted sensing as a dominant function makes sense. That seems like it would be consistent with my behavior. I guess you could look at ISFJ, but again, like, I don't think my FE's that good. I'm not really a nurturing personality. There's one characteristic I've heard about ISTJs where it says they're rather selfish, which would be very consistent with my behavior. But again, it's like,
I wouldn't say that ISTJs are selfish. I'd say that they are self-attending, and that's very different. It's like ISTJs are excellent lovers. They're not selfish in bed. So that's my understanding of it anyway. My
I
understanding.
think I mainly focus on.
Go ahead.
Oops, sorry.
No, you please.
I think I mainly focus on myself first, and then on the people around me. Is my way of looking at things at the moment. Could that have anything to do with it?
Yeah, I mean they're just ISTJs are self-attending, by which I mean basically because they're SI DOMs and TE tool users, their attention is on, their physical self or physical knowing, followed up by efficiency. So they tend to be efficient about the one problem that's always at hand, which is the self. So they have a certain finite number of things that they utilize and keep organized in certain ways, so that as they do the things they do throughout the day, their life runs smoothly and efficiently. They're prepared for contingencies, and it's easiest to do that with just one person, yourself, because that's the only thing you can really have mostly control over the variables.
Like, I'm not focused on the other people around me as much because it doesn't hold as much. It doesn't make sense for me to do so. Right.
Do you start the day with like a plan for how the day is going to go?
And it's the same routine every day.
I see. Interesting. Okay, I got 2 minutes 50 seconds left on this guy's video here, so let's watch the rest of it.
I don't think I have polar FE, but I don't think my FE is good enough to where I would seriously consider ISFJ as a personality type. So you
You're
sort of
not
see
an
my
ISFJ.
conundrum. Like ISTJ kind of makes sense, but there's parts there that don't make sense. Again, also the TE thing. Like I almost feel like I'm too lazy to be a TE user. I feel like a TE user would be a lot more like. I also feel like an ISTJ in general would have a focus on more practical things. Like I'm kind of into things like typology, and I guess that's only, well, that might be the only really like kind of sort of intuitive, what's the word? Intuitive interest that I have. That, you know, I don't know if an ISTJ would really be into this kind of stuff. That's another problem. But all in all, the personality type, at least when it comes to like things like introverted sensing pretty much. And
You see that fourth slot in E there? That's great. That's textbook. He goes things like introverted sensing and introverted sensing, pretty much. Here's the deal about you being in college and being an English major is ISTJs aren't meant to go to college, frankly. They're meant to have actual skills that they use instead. Being an English major makes sense because what else are you going to major in? You're designed function stack wise to deal with real world problems in real ways. You're not designed to deal with abstract problems. And so, it's also the case that you're talking about cognitive functions here, and that's an intuitive interest, as you say, but you're talking about it in the most practical sense. Like you're going, am I an ISTJ? And then for your reasonings as to why, you're saying, I match this description, I don't match that description, I match this description, I do match this description, whatever. You're not talking about cognitive functions like, so if a person has this, you're not teaching us about cognitive functions, right? You're interacting with them in a very visceral sense in that regard. And that's consistent with ISTJ. I mean, everything I see here is consistent with ISTJ, including this very sort of TE solution to the question of confirming this. Now, you might say it's FE because it's seeking the opinions of others, but it's a TE style solution. It says, well, I want to know this. I'm going to process the question through a solution-based view, and I'll put up a video and ask the question. I'll title it ISTJ question mark. So it's a very practical approach.
And that's consistent with how I go about things.
Yeah. And so when you get your English major, for example, you might go into teaching. It's a bad job for you.
It's not gonna go well.
It's not. You're gonna have all kinds of classroom control problems, and it'll take you years and years and years to get it all figured out. And then when you finally do, you'll be a good teacher, but by then your soul will have been torn to shreds. It's teaching requires too much improvisation, and it's too ideational. And the thing you're teaching especially is too ideational. You cannot mechanically break down writing to teach it. Having been an English teacher for a long time, I can tell you that I've butted my head against the wall many times trying to teach writing. It's difficult to teach, and if not impossible, frankly. You can teach grammar if you have a really good understanding of grammar. Grammar can be taught mechanically, and that would be something you'd be good enough at doing. However, classroom control cannot really be done mechanically. You've got to have command of the room, and that requires extroverted feeling that's more upfront than yours is going to be. You're looking for heuristics to solve extroverted feeling problems, like, well, I'll just always remember to say please and thank you, kind of shit. Well, that's not. It just doesn't. Teaching requires too much FE if you're an English teacher. Now, if you were teaching something like, I don't know, some science or something, you might be in a better position. But even then, you'd have to have like advanced classes, good kids and stuff, or else you'd be in trouble. Cameron is a substitute teacher, and he's happiest where he is now, and prefers to do kindergarten because pretty much any older than that, they eat him alive. So there's my thoughts on that. Avoid teaching if you can.
Inferior any, those kind of make sense to me. I'm like, yeah, I could kind of see that in myself. The TE's a weird one. I do think I kind of have like that sort of reasoning where how can I put it? I don't have I feel like a lot of TI users, they want to know how something works down to like every little mechanical detail of how something works before they're willing to accept it. Whereas I see that something works and I use it. I feel like that's a TE thing. Like we don't really care about really understanding it, on a deep mechanical level. We're just like, okay, this strategy works, we're gonna go with this strategy. This technique works, we're gonna use this. Or because I think I'm an introvert, something dominant, if something's worked in the past, then I'm definitely gonna fucking go back to that well over and over and over again. So
I think another way of putting the TITE distinction there is not that we want to know how it works to every last detail. We want to know why, like, why it works. And you guys, ISTJs, want to know if or that it works so that you can utilize it. But, I mean, you're right mostly about what you're saying, linking to SI. The TE, your doubts regarding TE, I think, stem primarily from not having exactly the right understanding of TE, which is it's really just an approach towards problems that you encounter in the world. If you have TE as a tool function, then your default towards any problem you encounter in the world is to figure out how to solve it yourself. And you never then default to figuring out how you can utilize the human resources around you. Now, this is, as I said, a somewhat kind of situation that muddies that a bit, because obviously you put a comment saying respond to this video, but significantly you put a video up. You didn't do what a lot of people would do, which would be like, can you type me and I'll click their name, there's no video. You use a TE style approach to it in the sense that, okay, well, I'll make a video, send him a link, and then he can type please that, which is sensible. So FE might not approach it like that. FE might be inclined to try to pay me to type on or something. I don't know. There's lots of variation in there, but I'm just saying that I'm not seeing or hearing anything really inconsistent with TE, because at the end of the day, it's just an approach towards problems that you encounter in the world that says, I will figure out how to solve this myself. Play.
So, yeah, I mean, like for instance, I'm an English major. Don't major in English, it's fucking useless. But anyways,
true.
When I write essays, like I've learned like a technique on how to write an essay, and if it works, like I'm gonna go back to that well over and over. So like to me, that's like SI, TE dreamland. It's just that's like what
it's
what
true.
we do.
You got an algorithm.
That works, and then we just like stick with that. We keep going back to that. So that's my take on my personality. I think I'm an ISTJ, but I'm not sure, and I'd like to hear other people's thoughts on it. Also, sort of a parting thoughts. I feel like I care way too much what other people think to be FE polar. That's another problem. But I'll leave it to the commenters to decide. I can't wait to hear your thoughts.
Well, I mean, pretty good FE, I guess, for a for polar. But again, when we say pretty good FE, it's important to distinguish between impact and nuance. You can have success. You can be well liked without having good FE. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, those things don't not correlate. It's like having polar FE doesn't mean people will dislike you. It's not like you're. Oh, I have polar FE, so I go around and rub poop on people or something. It just means that you're not attending to the nuances of perception management. And in a way, that's a very good strategy for perception management. So, now, the thing is, what he's saying is he worries about what people think more than he would anticipate from. Well, actually, I think he cares what people think more than you would anticipate in an ISTJ. But I think it's probably mostly a binary thing for him. Like, he wants to make sure that people aren't actively, he's not actively doing something wrong. That's normal for if you've got a polar interface function. So ISFJs are concerned about doing things wrong as far as problem solving goes, because early on in life because they have polar TE, people start going, okay, stop, you're doing this insane. Let me do this for you. People start doing that early on, and they get jumpy about TE stuff. Similarly, ISTJs can get a little jumpy about FE stuff. That doesn't mean they've got more FE than polar necessarily. It just means that they've learned that they've gotten dinged on it a few times early enough, and so they try to adjust. Now, in contrast, you got something like FI polar. You get dinged a lot less on it. It's a lot less externalized. It's not an interface function. So, as a consequence, people adjust less if they've got a polar judging function like that.
I'm definitely very jumpy about FE in a lot of cases because that's my polar.
Yeah, that's that interface function thing. I think people probably like extroverted intuition gets jumpy about extroverted intuition. As happened in class today, I was talking to this ISTP girl and I was testing her NE and she came up with one thing, and then I said, come up with some more stuff, and she got all like flustered and she had like an allergic reaction to me pushing on that. So that shows you that some things that can be tested by other people, like extroverted intuition, extroverted thinking, extroverted feeling, or extroverted sensing, like if for example you've got polar SE and you're in PE class and you're having some trouble and the coach is like, just swing, just do it, that would probably make you feel jumpy too. So there are equivalencies for all the extroverted functions. Anyway, Curtis, you're an ISTJ. I'm pretty convinced that you're an ISTJ, and I appreciate your comments. That's one thing that would be contraindicative potentially, is the fact that you leave a lot of comments. So that's not exactly usual for ISTJs. There might be more ISTJs who watch the channel than I think, given the fact that they are seeking NE and I'm providing it. I know Cameron watches the channel more than I would think, because I never see him comment or anything, but when I talk to him, he ends up referring to some video that he saw. So anyway, have a great evening. And you are an ISTJ. You're in full compliance with typology law. So, good job. You get a certificate of compliance, which is good for 1 year from all licenses all the time. And that concludes tonight's video.